Yeah, John, this is a wild and dangerous high-speed pursuit. The van you see right there, we understand there's a female driver.
Suspect in pursuit drives wrong, collides with oncoming vehicle on I-405 in Brentwood. Friday. A very serious pursuit ended in a crash on I-405 Friday morning, May 17, 2024, after the driver drove wrong and struck several vehicles on I-405 in the Brentwood area. The chase occurred Friday morning, May 17, 2024, at approximately 4:30 a.m. on 4th Avenue in Venice. According to the Los Angeles Police Department, the suspect in a white pickup truck struck the patrol cars, resulting in at least 2 minor injuries. Officers then initiated a pursuit, which eventually reached I-405. On the highway, officers attempted multiple pit maneuvers at high speeds to no avail. At one point, the driver turned around and began driving in the opposite direction on the northbound lanes of the highway, with several patrol cars trailing him. D. The suspect drove recklessly, swerving into oncoming traffic. The chase ended when the driver of the white pickup truck violently crashed head-on into a group of vehicles stopped by police near Wilshire Boulevard.
Take this woman into custody. You can see a patrol car was damaged there trying to get up to this van. It's a big van. They're trying to get right up next to it, slam it up against the side of the K-rail or the shoulder there, and that did not work. That was not successful. There's an LAPD helicopter overhead. We're still on the 405 freeway northbound. You see the night sun right there. There's no volume on the 405 north, so it's a smooth sailing, if you will, all the way up into the San Fernando Valley. But LAPD officers want to get this over with. This woman is driving erratically, and she appears to be driving in an extremely dangerous manner. Here they go once again. They're going to try and stop this. Boy, look at the way the van swerved to the right. Now they've got it spun out. Wow. If she continues, though, she's going to go head-on into the officers.
And do we know, Scott, we know a woman is driving. Do we know, are there any passengers in the vehicle with her?
We don't believe so. This is incredible. We don't believe so, but we don't know for certain. It's hard to tell because you can't get inside that van. But she is just flooring it right now, getting as much power to that vehicle as possible, and it's just spinning around in circles. It's a big van, though, and the patrol cars just don't have the weight or the mass to really stop this vehicle. But you could tell she's lost control of it. There's enough damage to the vehicle right now where she has lost control of that vehicle, and she can't really continue on. It looks like now they may be able to pin her and get her stuck, get her in between some of the patrol cars, but now she's going southbound in the northbound lanes of the 405, and look at all the patrol cars here that were headed northbound behind her. Now you can see those people just driving the freeway, headed right into this woman who's driving so erratically and so dangerously.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I've never seen police act so aggressively to try and stop a driver like this, and you can see why. She's really putting lives at risk.
Yeah, she chased a patrol car, John and Rachel. She went after the patrol car with her vehicle. They had to try and get out of the way. And we understand, we believe 2 officers have been hurt. So when you have a woman who's right now is going to be looking at, charges of attempted murder on a police officer by trying to ram them with her vehicle, once you see that, once you see somebody driving into oncoming traffic, this is so dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen a pursuit this dangerous before because of the speed and because there's damage to that van. That's oncoming traffic you're looking at on the 405 North, and the van is heading southbound. And we saw earlier with the damage to the van, she's lost control. Oh, boy, head on into that car.
Yeah.
There you go. We hate to see this. We hate to see innocent people get hurt. But we're looking at it right now, such a difficult pursuit to stop and to get around here on the 405. This is amazing. She is southbound on the shoulder on the northbound lanes of the 405. We're in the Westwood area. I think we're kind of up Westwood Boulevard or Sunset again here in just a moment. And look at that, guys. I mean, swerving across all lanes, and she's lost some control of the vehicle, you can tell.
Yeah, we hope police, I'm actually surprised that traffic hasn't been stopped, but I know these things can just escalate so quickly. But hopefully they can pause traffic because, yeah, this is so dangerous.
Yeah, she's already hit 1 car head on. Scott, do we know how this started?
We do not know exactly. We know it started in Venice. We're not certain what the want was on this vehicle, but it's nearly impossible to stop all traffic on the 405 northbound. Now, they've done that a little further south. I can see it out the window, so they're doing everything they can do to try and make this as safe as possible, but it's just so dangerous. So up ahead, you're going to see an area where there are no vehicles coming northbound on the 405, and then you're going to see a hole open up out of your shot. You're going to see where the freeway is shut down. It's going to be interesting to see, push back in, what she does when she comes up on that stopped group of traffic on the 405 North. Again, she's southbound at a high rate of speed in a van that she's having a hard time controlling. Open up a little bit for me, and then you're going to see where the blockade is, if you will. There's the patrol car. There's the blockage of the freeway, and boy, how dangerous is this?
Oh my gosh, and it looked like she's...
Oh my goodness, she's going to go head on into those vehicles.
Oh my
God. She decided to slam into them without even hitting the brakes. So we're going to have innocent people hurt. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we just saw that. That was horrible.
We see one person get out of their vehicle.
2 vehicles at least hit head on, it looks like.
People are going to be hurt here. This was such
She's climbing out now, it looks like, or somebody's climbing out.
Yeah, oh my goodness. This was such a dangerous pursuit, and now we see innocent people have been hurt. And we're going to try and re-rack some of that footage, but it's one of the craziest pursuits I've seen, with a vehicle spinning around in all sorts of directions trying to get away from the police. Oh, there she is right there. She's up on top of the cab of that semi, and officers have their guns drawn, and boy, she is distraught. It looks like she may try and get inside one of the vehicles. Oh my goodness. You see, she's pointing at them like she had a weapon.
Right.
Obviously, if she had a weapon, they would open fire on her, but right now, they are working with someone probably under the influence of drugs or alcohol or mental health issues, and they're just trying to get her into custody. Ambulances are headed this way right now, and there they have her. But oh my goodness.
Wow.
What a dangerous pursuit, and sadly, it looks like innocent people are going to be hurt in this one.
I hope they're okay, and I hope those ambulances can get there quickly and treat those other drivers, but wow.
Multiple drivers hit, 2 LAPD officers, we believe, injured as well. Boy, she did a lot of damage in a short period of time.
Sure did. This was probably one of the wildest ones I've seen too, Scott.
You can't say that van is going 100 or even 99 miles an hour. Oh, whoa!
Oh my goodness!
No,
oh my gosh! Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness! What is the purpose of that? That person just sitting there innocent, and now that van just collided right there. Some other passengers getting out of other vehicles,
jumped out of the vehicle.
For cover.
These unsuspecting drivers again on their way to work and school drop-offs, things like that this morning. Oh,
yeah, goodness. LAPD coming up. Okay, that person is out of the vehicle, climbing out of the vehicle right there.
On the roof of the car?
Climbing on top. Yep, climbing on top of the car, pointing at the big rig again. I don't know what that fascination with these big rigs are, but LAPD, now they have this situation. You know, you've got injured folks. You have clearly aggression towards the LAPD officers. And if this person tries to carjack this big rig, this is going to end very poorly. That weapon right there, that green laser, that is less than lethal. That is a less than lethal. So, you know, possibly this is coming to an end right now, but what a crazy violent end right there. The person's still up on that roof of that vehicle and the big rig, but I am very concerned about the person inside that car right there. That was definitely a hard hit. That vehicle completely stopped, and then that van just colliding on purpose with that vehicle. LAPD taking that suspect into custody right there, but again, what a crazy morning out here on the 405 freeway. This ending in the Brentwood area just before, right at Wilshire Boulevard. But again, that was, you know, LAPD, they had, what could they do? What could they do?
This car hit head on. I just want to make sure someone's rendering aid to this poor driver, just with no idea.
It almost looked like this was bound to end the way that it happened, with the driver driving the wrong direction on the 405, sometimes at a high rate of speed, and then ramming into a few vehicles there before stopping at a big rig. Fortunately, this big rig was just too much for that van. But this all began just before 5 o'clock this morning in the West LA Santa Monica area, with an officer asking for help because it had gotten into a collision with this van, and then the van going through the surface streets of Santa Monica and West LA, ramming other police cars. So there was no way that these officers could stop this van, and then the van making its way to the 405 freeway on this busy rush hour and going the wrong direction as officers tried to stop this van. The van then ramming into a couple of vehicles before coming to a stop, going head-on into this big rig here, but that person taken into custody.
Yeah, and we've seen multiple officers walk up to the car that was just hit head-on there, just stopped on the freeway. And that driver appears to be okay. It seems they're getting a repeated thumbs up.
Looks like the officers are talking to some of the drivers there who are still in their vehicles, Stu.
Yeah, they are definitely. But my biggest concern is with Brooke is the driver inside this vehicle right there. That it seems like the driver is as okay as can be.
Right.
That's the best way to word it. You can see him moving around. Why they're not getting out of that vehicle? That is a little bit of a question mark for me. There's a lot of front end damage. You see a lot of steam coming out of that car. You just don't want to see a fire start right now. But you can see officers from LAPD. They are working traffic more than anything else. That was the reason why I was staying tight. They're just trying to get people around this incident that just happened right here with that head-on collision. So everybody else that that the person inside this car jumped out pretty much right after that collision. This person's staying in the driver's seat, but we can clearly see a cell phone, that movement inside the car. So if they're injured, hopefully it is not life-threatening. But again, what a violent end to a very crazy pursuit out here this morning. That person in custody right now. But after a head-on collision with an innocent driver on the 405 freeway for absolutely no reason at all. And this is one of those incidents where, what
the driver struck at
enforcement
least
have
3
done-
vehicles and a heavy-duty truck before exiting the truck, climbing onto its hood, and attempting to enter. Police quickly surrounded the suspect on foot and arrested him. The truck driver spoke to reporters at the scene. She tried to enter the truck, he said in Spanish, adding that he refused to let her in. None of the innocent drivers struck by the vehicle were seriously injured, though at least one person involved in the crash was hospitalized. Most northbound lanes were closed for hours following the chase. The incident began shortly before 4:30 a.m., when police responded to a radio report of a woman causing a disturbance in the area of 4th and Rose Streets. A video captured by a bystander showed the suspect arguing with an unidentified man before she got into a pickup truck and sped off, allegedly striking 2 police cars and injuring 2 officers as she fled the scene. The 2 officers were treated at the hospital and released. After entering the 405 freeway, the suspect was traveling at speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour before colliding head-on with several vehicles, causing the accident.
Stu, what can you tell us?
Well, we're actually right by the airport right now, right by LAX, and you know how LAX loves the helicopters out here, so they're actually kind of holding us a little bit at bay. You can see that vehicle right there. It has a lot of damage on it. It's that Avalanche, Chevy Avalanche. It has some damage on the passenger side. It looks like it even had lost a tire. Now, the Sheriff's Department not involved in this, but LAPD is, and it's going to be a little difficult for us to stay with this right now as he's making his way underneath the freeway right there. I'm going to try to keep with it because he's underneath the 105 right now. But this pursuit is continuing on, and you can see the PD helicopter right there. And hang on, we just got to keep an eye on it. So he's actually working to our benefit there. He's staying away from the 105 freeway. There's that vehicle right there. So we are heading southbound now, and you can see that vehicle continuing right now. Murder suspect inside the car. That's what we need to talk about right now. They actually told him negative on the pit, even though it has damage on the car, meaning they're not going to try to do a pit maneuver on this because that's an armed and dangerous suspect. They don't want that vehicle to spin around and then have an armed suspect pointing at officers. Right now, slower speeds as we're making our way through the El Segundo area, still moving southbound here on Aviation Boulevard. Pretty slow, but definitely a dangerous pursuit.
Do we know if the who's driving? And I was hearing reports that the murder suspect could be in the back seat.
You know what? I don't have that information. We were too busy trying to actually locate this, and it was by the LAX area, so it was making it very difficult. I was keeping up as best as I could with what was going on, but I don't know if that murder suspect's in the backseat. We'll stay a little bit tighter. We'll see if we can figure out if there's more than one person inside that vehicle. Again, though, this is in an area where it's difficult for us to stay with it.
Yeah, Stu, we're also hearing that this is an attempted murder suspect. Do you know anything about how this whole police pursuit began in the first place?
I actually do not. All I do know is that LAPD was behind it. They tried to pull this vehicle over. You can see some dangerous moves right there, and they refused to. And the pursuit was on. That's what we know as far as how this pursuit started. Maybe you have some more information that the desk is giving us?
I know about as much as you do right now because this all happened not too long ago. So it looks like they're kind of slowing down their speeds a little bit on these roads.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm really with you guys right now. I can tell you the speeds have really slowed down. That's the big thing right now. But he is continuing to run red lights out here, and we're making our way on El Segundo Boulevard. I'm trying to get a bearing on which way exactly we're going. We're still in the LAX area. My pilot Dylan today definitely trying to keep with this the best we can. But of course we have the LAPD helicopter nearby as well, so it's going to make it difficult. I'd just like to get a cleaner shot of where we're at right now. But you can see that pursuit continuing right now. LAPD definitely staying behind it. They're not going to let this thing go. How they're going to bring this to an end, though, that is the big question. Of course, they cannot use that pit maneuver because they said, as you mentioned early on, attempt murder suspect, but possibly armed, and they don't want to have a situation where that vehicle is pointed at them after they do a pit maneuver. Trying to blend into traffic right there. Definitely has no front passenger tire. That was what I saw earlier on. But right now you can see that he's made his way onto Sepulveda Boulevard, and it looks like we're going to be heading northbound on Sepulveda, and I'm going to have to work with the pilot here for just a moment to try to keep up with it. And I just heard Dylan, he's listening in and he's keeping up with us, but he actually said that he's trying to get a hold of them right now to try to expedite our ability to stay with it. But right now, though, you can see that vehicle, 3 tires now up on the sidewalk, I believe.
Boy.
No, not out on the sidewalk, not on the side, just on a portion.
Well, it looked like he was there for a second, though, Stu. Yeah. Yeah, it sure did. And
at any rate,
we're also hearing, Stu, that there are 3 occupants in this vehicle. We don't exactly know who they are, what kind of relationship they have with each other. But, yeah, you can see him right now. He's weaving in and out of traffic. It's getting a little congested where he is, but he is taking it slow, I have to say.
Well, you know, that Avalanche, a big truck, probably a 5.3 liter in there, big V8, but with 3 tires, it's going to make it very difficult to steer and control. That weaving and stuff like that, I'm not sure what that driver is thinking, but right now you can see the LAPD, they have the opportunity to do that pit. The speeds are right. There might be a little, every now and then, there's a lot of other cars nearby, and I'm sure that that's what that officer in that first vehicle wants to do. But just because of the fact that they may be armed and dangerous, they're not going to be able to do that, making a wide turn, and it looks like we're going to be on the wrong side of the road right now. And again, this just continues to make it so very dangerous for the civilians or the people on the roadway right now. You've got people driving there probably trying to make their way to the airport, or maybe lunchtime for a lot of folks, and now they're having somebody driving the wrong way on the roadway. This is not what you want to see. Made his way back. He corrected it. You can see it right there. Now we're back on the right side of the road. Speed's definitely picking up right now. You can see 60 miles an hour, and that probably is about accurate, and we're going to keep up with it. He's underneath on Imperial right there, very close to the 105, but if he makes a turn to the south, that would be the best. If he makes a turn to the north, it's going to make it difficult for us to keep up with it. But again, dangerous pursuit out here. LAPD, they've got their things they got to deal with right now as well. Like, how are they going to bring this to an end? They're not going to let this one go. They're not going to go into a tracking mode with something like this, and definitely with the possibility of an armed and dangerous suspect in that back seat. You can see the LAPD helicopter right above it. But right now, this pursuit continues near the LAX area as this truck keeps those officers at bay. 3 tires, so you know he's going to have some braking problems. And right now, back underneath the 105.
Yeah, this is kind of a tricky pursuit, at least from our end right now, because we are looking at a lot of overpasses, tall buildings as well. That's kind of tough for you guys to navigate and to get a clear picture of. But yeah, we are hearing confirmed murder suspect in this SUV, this truck. 3 occupants in the vehicle. As you're watching this police pursuit unfold right now, we're trying to get a clearer shot of exactly where he is.
Yeah, he's continuing on Imperial Highway.
Yeah.
The 105 keeps blocking him right there, but he's continuing on Imperial. We'll probably get just a glimpse of him right there through that underpass. Unless he turns or something happens right there, we're going to get ahead of him. There he is, making his way past us right now. But continuing on, so we're going to be leaving the LAX area. This is a plus for us, and it's going to be getting us into the Inglewood area. But you can see right there, not a lot of traffic on Imperial. That's a big plus, and then you got some cars. You got a red light right there, just went right through that solid red, but this continues on very very dangerous situation indeed. But LAPD, they're going to bring this to an end, hopefully without any kind of injuries or any problems. Right now, though, continuing on, we're making our way out of the LAX area and into the Hawthorne area. And this vehicle continues to try to maneuver around stuff. I just wonder how long that rim is going to hold up. You know, if that rim starts getting too worn down, it's going to start dragging, and it's going to make that truck even more impossible to maneuver. And it looks like we're going to be going northbound now in the Hawthorne area, and we're going to be on Inglewood Boulevard.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's possibly the reason he's taking it slower, is because he knows that his front tire has essentially come off. I wonder how long he can drive like that.
You know, we've seen these go for quite a long time, and we've seen a lot of these suspects just keep pushing those vehicles because they, you know, what difference does it make about the car? They're not concerned about what's going on there. They're trying to get away from law enforcement, so they're going to do whatever they can. Right now, using that center lane, northbound is where he's headed. It's going to be difficult for Skyfox to keep up. I'm sure Dylan is going to try to help make a plan here to see, unless he turns around, if he continues northbound, we're going to have to cross over LAX again, and that's going to be a little difficult for us. But right now, continuing northbound on Inglewood Boulevard, making his way away from the 105 and LAPD. You can see that officer right there. You know he just wants to get up there and do that pit maneuver, but at this point, it's not approved because there's an armed and dangerous suspect inside that vehicle.
Yeah, so they have to really kind of keep their distance in cases like this, right? Because it's unconfirmed that he's armed. Is that right?
Well, you know, they have reports of, and that's good enough. I mean, you don't want to be able to, you don't want to get into a situation where, you know, you're thinking this. I'm sure they believe that every suspect could have the possibility of being armed when they approach him. But when they actually have reports of, they're going to take that even more serious. Making his way up to another major intersection up there, that's going to be Century Boulevard. That was one of his takes earlier on, but it looks like he's continuing northbound as he's making his way northbound on Century. LAPD still right there, hot on his trail, doing what they can just to keep the public safe. Lights and sirens, let people know what's going on. You can see people pulling over to the side of the road. That's what they need to do. But right now, that's an armed and dangerous suspect in a heavy vehicle that has problems. As that front wheel is out, they don't want this vehicle careening into somebody innocent, taking another life. They've had those issues in the past.
Well, certainly it's kind of fortuitous that there are not many cars on the road. What's the consideration behind maybe putting down spike strips?
You know what? I'm sorry about that. I was just talking to Dylan. I had my mic muted. We're making plans to get up. We have to climb up to about 2,500 feet or more, and then we have to go across the LAX. But now it does appear that he's making that turn and he's heading back towards the 405. So now he's on 93rd Street, but still very slow speeds out there. LAPD, they would have had many opportunities to do that pit to bring this thing to an end, but again, because the situation inside that vehicle, they're not going to want to do that. This truck continues to push that one rim, and you know, the more that thing wears down, the more that's going to create drag on that truck. Hopefully the truck gives up before those suspects do, and then, you know, maybe they'll just kind of get out of that vehicle towards the end. We've seen a lot of foot chases where they get out and run, but if one of those suspects is armed, it's going to be a very dangerous situation indeed. LAPD, they know about this. They have other officers in the area, and of course they're getting a hold of Inglewood PD. I'm sure they know what's going on as well. Going across, getting into oncoming traffic once again. A lot of traffic down there. You can see people waiting for that light, making that turn. Looks like we're going to be heading northbound again on La Cienega. That seems to be one of the roads that he favors, as he's been on that a number of times this afternoon.
Yeah, at some point you would have to imagine that the front tire would give out and that this would come to an end. He is taking it awfully slow. It's what, speeds of between 40 and 50 miles an hour right now? 40 miles an hour?
Yeah, 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's pretty accurate, by the way, even though we're quite a distance away. I wish I could just get out of the doubler and just show you how far away it is. I'm sure Dylan can't even see it with his naked eye. But that vehicle continuing, a little bit of a swerve right there. You know, Marla, I'm really kind of curious about that front wheel as well. You know, that thing's just going to kind of grind and grind and grind. Eventually, it's going to start running on the chassis. And when that starts happening, that truck is really going to start slowing down. But again, just continuing on. A lot of folks on the road today. Now he's got to do that against traffic thing again. It is just dangerous for anybody that's out there right now. Even though that vehicle moving relatively slow, you know, you just don't want to see him careen into a pedestrian or anything like that. Now we're going to be going eastbound on Olive Street, so back over the 405. You notice he's not getting on any freeways.
No,
so
he's not. Yeah.
Wonder. Yeah. Maybe he's looking for a spot where they know or they have an idea or somebody's in the area that they can jump out and run to. But right now, I got to work with Dylan once again. We got to get across. We got to get across LAX, and he's hearing me. He's actually telling me we're waiting for permission to cross. So it's going to be a few moments or two, but. He's making a U-turn again as I'm hearing it. There he is. Yep, that's correct. And he's making a U-turn, so he's heading back the same way. So he's westbound once again. We're going to lose him behind that hotel. But you just got to wonder.
It's almost like he's going around in circles.
Right, and it seems like, he's staying in this area, and I don't think that, a lot of times we'll hear like, here we go. And
no, he's come to a stop.
Change his mind.
Oh,
nope,
no, he's not.
No, he's not. Nope.
Changed his mind.
Yeah, so, and again against traffic right there as he just continues to elude these officers. But LAPD, they have the opportunity, many an opportunity to do that pit maneuver on this one, but it's just because of that dangerous situation inside that vehicle that they're not going to be doing that. And now I have to let Dylan know I'm sure he's keeping up. But yeah, he's staying on the other side of the airport. So as soon as we can cross, we should be able to cross and get over and get a little closer.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to do this dance in a way. They don't want to put he's not going fast enough really to put the public in danger. But they do have to keep their distance because just in case this guy is armed and dangerous, you just never know.
That is the big question. And a lot of we talk about pursuits all the time, and people say that. It's like, well, why don't they? And why don't they? And, one of the things is like, we're not in that position. We're not that officer that's behind the wheel of that cruiser that's right behind him. And, of course, they want to do what they can to get these things taken care of and as quickly as possible. They want to catch the bad guys. Trust me. But, again, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're in harm's way. You're directly in harm's way. And so that's usually what's going on. And of course, the number one thing for any a law enforcement officer is to protect the public. So again, they have to weigh these options, and they have to take care of what's going on. They have to take care of themselves. But right now, though, this suspect or suspects possibly inside this vehicle continuing on, they're going westbound. I feel Skyfox moving. I'm looking out the window. I'm going to be a lot happier when we're back over it, but we're south of LAX. This is happening north of LAX. We're meant to be over there, and we're going to be a lot closer in just a few moments.
Oh, okay, so they're going, and essentially you're going to be able to keep track of this. They're not crossing over LAX airspace, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we are literally directly over LAX right now, and you can see him slowing down, and it looks like he's trying to make another turn. Look at that front wheel. Look at you really get an idea that whole front suspension is gone. So this thing is just dragging along right there, that front wheel not even turning, making his way into a neighborhood out here. Let's get a little bit of wider shot, and it's just continuing on. Let me get you the information that you guys want right there on the road. But, he's in a neighborhood, so you got to wonder if he's here for a reason. Is he going to jump out? Is he near some place where he's got friendly people in the area that might be able to help him hide or, talk him into just giving himself up? That truck definitely just coming apart.
It's coming
right
apart
there.
as we speak, Stu.
Yeah.
Look at this. It's coming apart. This thing is going to be over, hopefully peacefully, but this car can't run for much longer like this.
Yeah, and in this time now, you were saying somebody in the back seat. I definitely see somebody in the passenger seat right there. And, just making his way through this neighborhood, still those really slow speeds out here. But again, the fact that this is an armed and dangerous suspect in there, possible attempted murder, they are going to take this very, very carefully. Even if this thing comes to an end, like that truck just stops running, it might turn out to be a standoff. But right now, just look at that damage. It's amazing that truck is still just kind of pushing along right there. And you can see one person in the passenger seat. Of course, we have the driver, of course. But you were saying that somebody might be in the back seat. And with that heavy tint, I really just can't see it right now.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. Oh, I'm seeing a little bit of sparks right now coming from that tire. It's really, Stu, it's got to be only a matter of time before this car gives out. I mean, it's already happening. So they really can't go any faster than this.
You know, that might be part of it too. Maybe he is really pushing it, and this is all that truck is going to give right now. It's probably dragging on the frame. That wheel not even turning, kind of just flopped over to the side. So you got to wonder what it sounds like inside that truck too. That must just be an unbelievably loud in there. And then of course there's almost no control. You see this thing making these turns every now and then, but the straightaways is probably what this person wants, because that's what at least it seems to have some control about. But we're continuing on out here. We're still very, very close to the airport. This pursuit continuing. LAPD right behind it. They have a helicopter in the air as best they can, much like Skyfox, and continuing on right now. And I think Dylan was trying to get a hold of me. Just 1 second. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he is moving away from the residential area, and hopefully that will, once this thing does come to an end, you're hoping that there's not going to be some sort of standoff. But again, if it does happen, then thankfully they're no longer in that heavily residential neighborhood, which is what we saw just a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, well, right now we're back on Century Boulevard, and I'm sure anybody that drives to the airport realizes exactly where we are. He's heading back towards the airport right now. And, this is the thing. We've heard this in the past, again, when you talk with your friends and they're like, oh, why don't they just drive to the airport then? Well, you know what? If he drives to the airport, there are plenty of cameras out there. A truck with 3 tires making all that noise, grinding along, it's going to get noticed. So if he's thinking about getting into the airport to try to escape, that is probably not going to happen. And also, you have to think, the airport police definitely notified about this, and they have the ability to lock down or stop the incoming traffic. There he goes. He did not go in. He's back onto Sepulveda Boulevard right there, and just continuing on. But this is going to be one of those things. No, he is. He's actually trying to get into the airport.
He's trying
right
to get into the airport?
This is going to be, yes, definitely driving into the airport right now.
Yeah.
So this is one of those ones where you just got to kind of wonder if he gets out and runs into one of those terminals. Airport police definitely knows about this. But I'm hearing them talk about it right now. They're talking about he's on the arrival side. I'm going to try to get this the best we can. I'm sure Dylan is going to try to get us back over the complexes. If this thing continues, we can keep an eye on it. But right now, though, the last we saw him making his way into the airport on the arrivals level.
What does this mean for people who are trying to get to the airport right now? Do they have certain areas blocked off?
Well, right now he's made a U-turn and made his way back on the streets out here. We're working our way back out of the airport. Thank goodness for that. But I could just imagine what that would have been like, and people trying to catch their flights. It would have been very chaotic for sure. But the truck's slowing down right now. Looks like we're coming back up onto Sepulveda Boulevard, slowing down, and then making his way through there. And what's he going to do? Looks like he's continuing on wrong side of the road, and he's staying on Century, making his way back basically the same direction he just came from.
Yeah, so he's going down the wrong side of the road right now. At some point, you would have to think, and again, we don't make judgments like this, from where we're sitting, but at some point, you would have to believe that he's going slow enough to where officers would be able to catch up with him and at least make some kind of move. To stop him.
But look at that. Look at the pitch on that truck right now. It is just completely nose down. It's dragging through the asphalt right there. Wrong side of the road. You got folks that are just there you go. He just corrected it. You just got to kind of wonder, a lot of these folks just coming to Los Angeles, maybe tourists, and they're making their way back over to the airport, and they see this kind of crazy
right?
going on. Welcome to LA, right? Welcome to Los Angeles. But we're continuing to see it. He's making his way past all those high rises and hotels. We're going to see if he pops out right there. But that truck is just, I'm just amazed. It just keeps on going. And look at that pitch. Look at those rear wheels. This thing is just totally nose down right now.
This is a commercial for Avalanche right now. I mean, how well this car has held up. in the face of one wheel, essentially being ground down completely. And he's been going like this for quite a while, right?
He's
on
been
three
going
wheels.
like this for a minute. You just got to kind of wonder how much longer that truck is going to put up with that. They got a lot of traffic right there. The last we saw him was right there behind that Hilton. We're going to keep an eye on it. I got an ear on the scanner as well. There they are, making their way through the traffic. And looks like we are on the correct side of the road, but that truck's still just kind of pushing along down there as we're making our way on Century Boulevard. We're eastbound, so we're heading back out towards the 405 right now. You can see all that traffic. He's got nothing he can do. He's got nothing he can do right there.
He has nowhere to go.
Looks like,
no.
was that a Ferrari?
Did he just hit that Ferrari?
He just crashed into a Ferrari. Look at that. Oh,
no.
Oh, that's painful. Oh, and that guy's not happy either.
Oh, I can see the dollar signs right now, Stu.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
That guy's not happy.
Just as good as a Ferrari. It was an Audi A8. But anyways, it looks like the truck. It looks like some reason the truck is slowing down now. Doors are open.
Getting out. He's
there
trying to make
they go.
A run
1, 2, 3. Oh, he's trying to carjack somebody. No.
Is it? Oh, no. Wait, so whose car is this?
I don't know. You know what? I think this is a friend. This has
clearly
to be a friend.
It is because they're ripping through traffic right now.
They are ripping through traffic. The driver of that vehicle jumped in the back seat of that thing. Looks like some sort of a Mercury. Hang on. Dylan, we got to stay with this. Okay. He's eastbound on Century, but now I can't. We got to find out if he gets on the freeway.
What happened to the other passengers in that car?
You know what? Right now, I'm going to try to stay with this car. Hang on.
All right, so if you're just joining us, LAPD is in the pursuit of a murder suspect. This has been happening in essentially LAX area, Inglewood area. They were chasing this four-door Avalanche for quite a while. The front tire came off. That car hit another car, came to a stop, and then we see the driver hop out and then go into this car, and now it's speeding down. Which area is this?
Century Boulevard, Century Boulevard, and this thing is moving along at a good clip. You know, this is somebody that was waiting for that person. So, this is one of those ones where this is not just a pursuit. This is not just somebody, just one of those regular deals. That driver of that car is now aiding and abetting. This is a big deal. LAPD right behind them right now. Again, they're probably going to be in that same situation where they can't do that pit maneuver. The driver of this vehicle driving very dangerously, extremely high speeds at some points. Right now, though, I don't know if those numbers are correct because we're actually on our digital extender right now, so those numbers for the speedometer might be off. Making a turn there, staying in this residential neighborhood, though we know it, we saw it, the driver of that Avalanche jumps out, gets into the back seat of this car. And so this person definitely was waiting for them. This is not just a random person. This isn't a carjacking. This is somebody that was waiting for them and now took that suspect. And again, in pursuit, you can see it. We're going to be on Maple Street, LAPD right behind him right there. And those other two folks, I'm not, what is going on here? What is going on there? You saw that other officer just kind of swap position. So maybe they are going to try to do a pit, be aggressive, try to take this. Oof.
Going right through intersections.
Yes, this is, we went from extremely slow, almost where I was less worried about the public. Right now, I'm extremely worried. These are high speeds. Crazy maneuvers right there, getting very close to a lot of vehicles, and the speeds, just the crazy driving, the reckless driving just continues. LAPD staying behind it right there. You got one unit just right on his tail, but right now, though, this pursuit continues. The driver of that truck, probably the suspect that they were looking for, seeing how that he jumped out like that and got into the backseat of this car. Right now, though, continues on. We're in a residential neighborhood. We're going to be in the Inglewood area. LAPD in pursuit. High speeds, extremely dangerous. And it continues on out here, making their way. Looks like we're going northbound. I got to work with Dylan, see if we can get at least a little bit closer because he's definitely outside the LAX area, and it doesn't look like we're heading back that way anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, now we kind of know, we might have a better picture as to why that original car was circling around the neighborhood. Maybe they were trying to contact whoever this person is to try to get into this escape vehicle.
Oof. You know, that might have been it. Maybe they were just biding their time, trying to get into a situation where that the driver of this vehicle was close enough to meet with that person in that avalanche and then have that opportunity to jump into that car. Just give me 1 second. I got to talk with Dylan here, and we got to make a plan so we can stay with it.
Absolutely. In the meantime, let's look at the actual moment that this suspect, this driver, bailed out of his car. Look at this as cops were waiting for him, and hops into a waiting SUV. We don't know the relationship that this person has with this vehicle, this getaway vehicle. We do know that the avalanche at that point was nearly broken down because it was only driving on 3 wheels at that point. Going through the Inglewood neighborhood, trying at one point to enter LAX and then turning around. But leading officers on this lengthy chase were told that this person is an attempted murder suspect who could possibly be armed and dangerous. So now officers are in this difficult position where they have to figure out how much of a distance to stay away from him while also making sure that this driver right here doesn't climb up too fast in the speed to endanger the public. So they have a really tough decision they have to make right now. As we're watching this unfold right now, and Stu's trying to get some more information for us. But yeah, what you're watching right now, LAPD in pursuit of a murder suspect in the Inglewood area. He keeps on, yeah, I mean, this is the speeds right now. I would probably have to say he's going about 50, 60 miles an hour down these streets. No effort to stop. He's being pursued by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 squad cars, 6. Am I counting? And now he's going through,
right there.
He's going through some more residential neighborhoods.
He's approaching 4th Avenue right now. You can see right there that we have the street maps up. I don't have to give you locations. But this continuing on, and he seems to be in a residential neighborhood. And he's been making blocks out here. We're trying to move Skyfox a little bit closer just so we can get a little bit better pictures. We are really far away from this. Now, I understand one of our good friends at the station just gave us the information. They did get those 2 other people in custody. I believe there were 2 females that were in that car. They got them into custody. But right now, that driver, that's the one that's still inside this car, and he is not driving that vehicle. That is what is so bizarre about this. He made a phone call. He got somebody there to meet them, and then have them basically meet them in that area, and then jumped into the back seat of that car. LAPD, they are really, really doing what they can to stay with this car. You can see the SUVs, even the LAPD ones, hitting those bumps out there, getting a little bit of air. Continuing on, we're going to be back on Manchester, I believe, but this pursuit continues. And again, we're sorry about the distance. It's just been in one of those spots where doing what we can to stay with it. Right now, though, this older SUV continues to keep those officers at bay. I would almost venture to say, I'm not sure, is that a Lincoln, like an old, some sort of Lincoln product? But right now you can see it continuing on, picking up those high speeds in these smaller neighborhoods. Whenever that happens, I always worry, not just about pets, but also definitely about people. People are out on the roadways. Sure. You're not expecting somebody to do 60 miles an hour in front of your home. Unless
not
you live
to mention
on
it's also
a
spring
major
break,
street.
right? You have kids at home too.
Yep.
Who are outside playing.
Yeah, a lot of kids are at home right now, making his way. At least you see him slowing down a little bit as he's making his way out onto what looks like to be a major street out there. But continuing on now, and then you can see it just gets onto those straightaways, just hammers it, trying to keep that distance between those officers. The deal is hopefully this does not end poorly. These high speeds, that kind of driving, of course, he's probably looking behind him, wondering about where those officers are. But right now we're still in we're in the South Los Angeles. So So we're out of Inglewood. I'm looking at the streets myself. We're on St. Andrews and 85th Street. So we're back in the LA area right now. But this vehicle continues to elude officers, LAPD in pursuit. The person that's in the back seat of this car, now we know it's the back seat, is the person that was in that avalanche, driving that avalanche. So I'm starting to wonder if that was the person that of interest that they had all along had their eyes on, because they are making every effort to get this guy into custody right now. LAPD on the ground in force, and I'm also hearing them talking about other officers in the area. So when this does come to an end, you will see a lot of officers just mysteriously appear because they know what's going on. They're staying in the area, and of course they want to do what they can to get this suspect into custody. And of course they've got a lot of questions for that driver, and I'm sure there's some charges going to be pressed against him as well.
Yeah, unlike the avalanche where that car was essentially breaking down, this one seems to be doing just fine. So Stu, what's the idea of possibly doing some spike strips for officers?
You know, spike strips would be something that they could use, but you just don't know where he's going to be. And, you know, and that's the thing also. Not every LAPD unit has spike strips in the trunk. So they have to get somebody that has them. Then they have to figure out where he's going. There's a lot of logistics involved in something like that. Not saying it can't be done, but just to have it done, that's going to be a bit of a trick. Right now, though, we're making their way coming up on Vermont, as I understand it. So we're actually back over by. Hopefully, he went through Vermont. So we're going to be getting closer and closer to the 110 freeway. Hang on just 1 second. Dylan, can we just go over to the 110? He's clearly talking with LAX right now, but we're making our way back out towards the 110 right now. So hopefully, if he gets onto the 110, we'll be able to get a little bit closer. We can clean these shots up. I'm just really, my big worry right now is my job, meaning that we need to see how this thing ends and where these suspects go. So right now, that is my big concern. But right now, a lot
lot on the ground. They're certainly not making your job easier.
Yeah, but definitely these high speeds, that kind of reckless driving, getting our way into the South Los Angeles area. Take a look at that right there. That's a lot of traffic. Oh, and a bicyclist. Now he's through Figueroa.
Again, he's not going that fast
he's getting up right by the 110 freeway and squeezing through, and it looks like those were the on ramps right there. So, and what's going to happen here? Well, you know what? He can't do the rope-a-dope because LAPD is right behind him. So he's going to pop out. He popped out the other side. Let's see if he gets onto the freeway.
Yeah, what's the closest freeway? How easy of access is it for him right now?
There he is.
Yeah.
And they're saying it, too, on the radio right now. Lots of traffic. You see him driving. Looks like he's driving over the center divider. Now he's on the wrong way, making his way over to Broadway. But this pursuit continues out here. And hang on. That's him right there. It looks like.
Going into a parking lot?
What is he doing? Get out of the parking lot.
Oh, jeez. Wait, where is he trying to go?
Yeah, going right through the Bank of America right there. A lot of pedestrians out that way.
I'm just wondering what the strategy could be here.
Keeping an eye on it. He's behind the building right now. You can see these officers are pretty clever. You can see some of them waiting in the wings down there just in case he comes back the other way. But right now it's getting more and more difficult for us to shoot it. I got to work with Dylan just a little bit. Can we go a little bit south?
Yeah, I know.
Can we park over the 110? Okay.
All right, so while we wait, Stu, for you to maybe get a cleaner, can we see him right now?
He's continuing. It looks like making his way back onto 85th Street, and it looks like we're continuing eastbound on 85th Street through the South Los Angeles area. Extremely high speeds, very dangerous situation for anybody on the ground down there, and this pursuit continues. LAPD in pursuit. They've got 2 helicopters over it right now, LAPD helicopters, and a number of officers right behind it. And then not to mention, they probably have more officers in the area just waiting to do whatever they need to do to bring this to an end.
What's the closest highway around here? Because I'm just wondering what the strategy is, because he pulled into a parking lot, and now it seems like he's going around in circles again. So I don't know if they're looking for something or if they're trying to make a getaway or find a straight way. I don't know. I mean, he's being pursued by 1, 2, 3, 4 police SUVs.
you just gotta wonder what, you never can figure out what these guys are thinking, or gals, and just the idea is basically what's going on is they're just trying to stay away from law enforcement. They always think, like, I'm going to be the one that gets away, and we rarely see them actually get away, especially with a situation like this. Right now, LAX is keeping us at a distance. They're making their way southbound. I'm going to work with Dylan, my pilot, again, see maybe we can get over the 110, head south, because he's coming up on the 105 here shortly. But
all right, and Stu, while you try to get a clearer picture of what's happening right now, let's get you back to that moment where the driver of this avalanche hops out. We're told this is an attempted murder suspect, and he hops into the back seat of this waiting SUV to get away from authorities. And I have to hand it to the LAPD. They were hot on his heels almost immediately, but he was ripping through traffic at that point, just trying to make a getaway. This is after a lengthy pursuit in that avalanche, which led to one of the front wheels coming off altogether. The car essentially broke down to the point where it was undrivable. And I believe he also hit another car right before that avalanche came to a stop. But we don't really know who the suspect is. How many? We were told that the two people who were in that avalanche tried to get away, but they were actually arrested by police, so they're in police custody right now. But this suspect right now still driving in that SUV, trying to escape authorities. Stu, are you hearing anything about how many people are in this SUV?
Well, we're hearing right now that it is going to be it's a female driver. That we're hearing that right now. We hear they're 92nd and Avalon. I'm trying to, and now they're over by Manchester. So I'm trying to. Hang on.
Yeah, I know.
You know what, guys and gals? I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this again. It is like a needle in a haystack. We've got all these new rules going on where we're not allowed to be near the LAPD helicopters. Westbound Manchester from Avalon, so he's got to be coming up somewhere right in here. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We'll see if we can pick this thing up here in just a second. But he's going to be coming up on Main.
Yeah.
San Pedro. So he's got to be like right here somewhere, right in this area. There's Manchester.
Yeah, I know. It's not easy right now because you're dealing with this mixed industrial residential area. And I see one cop car. Let me see. You guys aren't far away from getting the shot here.
It is driving me crazy personally too. Trust
I'm sure
me.
it is. I'm sure it is, Stu.
There he is. There he is, right there.
We have
there
him
he
back.
is. So he's on. It says 84th Street in Maine, but I have a feeling that we're on Manchester. But it's continuing on there. We're at such an angle that it makes it very difficult to see anything. LAPD or LAX not allowing us to move. And that's something that we should be talking to them about maybe later on. But at any rate, making his way over here to Broadway. We'll see when he pops out on Broadway. There he goes.
Okay, so he's heading down Broadway right now.
Wait. Eastbound Manchester, so he turned around and he's going back the other direction. So
making a U-turn? Is that what happened? She made a. We should say she because you're being told that this is a female driver now.
There he goes. Yep. There he goes. So he's southbound on Main right now. There you go. You can see the top of the roof as he's making his way farther and farther away from us. But yes, I heard that it was a female driver. That's what I heard just momentarily ago on the. I heard it on the radio, so I can't really say for sure. But right now he's making his way southbound Main. And I'm sure, Dylan, we're going to move south as soon as we can, right? Okay.
Yeah, so we're not exactly sure what the relationship was.
But if we stay over the 110, how's that a problem?
To this other SUV that's being pursued right now. But we see the moment where this SUV actually went into a Bank of America parking lot. If we can pull up that video, you can see right there. Yeah, makes its way into the parking lot, followed by officers. I mean, you can see people walking into the bank at that point. And then apparently trying to cut through the parking lot onto a nearby street. But this has been a wild pursuit so far. starting in Inglewood, sort of circling around the LAX neighborhood. And we kind of wondered why that was the case. But then when the avalanche started coming apart and the front wheel essentially came off and the avalanche actually hit a bystanding car, you see the driver hop out of the avalanche and into a waiting SUV. And there was that moment once again. You can see it broke down completely. Driver hops out, runs across the street, and then hops into a waiting car. So perhaps that's the reason this car was going so slow and was trying to figure out, and was going essentially in circles trying to figure out where to go next. And this has been the case ever since. We're trying to get a clearer picture, but it looks like, yeah, Stu, you have it. Number of LAPD following this person.
There's got to be, you know what, should have counted them. It looked like something out of a movie. It seems like almost every officer in the division is in pursuit of that vehicle right there. We're getting allowed to get a little bit closer now, so that's a huge plus. And I've been just passing cop car after cop car after cop car. I have yet to see the actual suspect vehicle. I think it is right there. Now we're making our way back into another major, going right through another major. Thank goodness that was a green light, and it's continuing on now. I believe we are on Avalon right now, and I'm sorry, 99th Street. 99th Street, we're heading eastbound, so we're making our way out of the LAX area, thank goodness for that. And you can see that vehicle continues to drive. We might be able to get a little bit of a better shot when we get close enough and see if it is actually a female driver. We understand that it may be. I heard that it was a female driver, and this person... this wasn't a carjacking. It doesn't seem like a carjacking at all. Who knows what's going to come out later on. But the suspect from that Avalon jumped into the back seat of this vehicle right here, and they took off like nobody's business. They just and we saw speeds approaching 100 miles an hour at some points on a lot of the major streets out there. Now we're heading southbound Century Boulevard. You got somebody out in the roadway.
Don't try to, interfere with what's going on right now.
And you got a solid red.
And there's a big bus crossing through.
He's making a right.
Okay.
Nope. Whoa.
I couldn't see there for a second, Stu.
He slid a little bit, kind of lost control trying to get around that bus. That older SUV, given it its props, it is an older vehicle, but it's at least it's going, right? But LAPD, they are in pursuit. That vehicle seems to be at least slowing down a little bit. We're not seeing those very, very high speeds that we saw earlier on. Maybe it's fatigue. That's something else that we never talk about. That driver, you've got a lot of adrenaline. You've got a lot of push in there when you're driving like that. You're trying to stay alert and do all that. And in your body, once that adrenaline goes, you really start to feel that slowing. That might be what we're seeing right here. Hopefully that moment of soberness, as it might be, the driver might be like, what am I doing? We need to stop this before somebody gets hurt. But it's continuing southbound, and we're making our way. It's still on Century, 109th Street. We're going to be getting really, really close to the 105 freeway here in a moment or two. And hopefully he's going to make his way south on that, or keep going. And we're going to be able to get, fly this like a regular pursuit where we can get at least a little bit closer. Right now, though, it's continuing on. And we can see it, but, you just worry about all those pedestrians out there. You worry about people that are just going about their business.
Well,
and then you've got somebody being chased by LAPD, and for what? That person, yes, it is a serious crime, but why would you want, there's a lot of questions. And, we're not here. This is not the moral hour, for sure. Okay, so he's making his way. It looks like he's heading eastbound, so he's going to be actually getting closer to us right now. And you can see... moving along right there, we're in the city of Watts in the Los Angeles area, and the speed's definitely slowing down, but still a little bit of that reckless driving. And LAPD, a number of them right behind them, and we also know a number of them on the streets nearby, making another turn right there. We got somebody on a bicycle and going underneath the 105 freeway. So we're making our way southbound, and hopefully we're going to be able to get a little bit closer now, and we'll keep an eye on it. But this pursuit continues as we're making our way out of the LAPD area into the sheriff's area as we're entering the Compton area right now as 118th Street. That can't be. No, we're on Success. We're on Success moving southbound into Compton.
Yeah, and I'm sure people who live in these apartment buildings and homes nearby are wondering what the heck is going on. But don't if you're watching this, don't go outside. We don't know if this person is armed. We know that we're hearing reports that this person who fled into this SUV from the avalanche is an attempted murder suspect. So that's why police are keeping their distance.
They're not really keeping their distance. They're just not able to do a pit maneuver.
Right,
they don't want to do that pit maneuver. Why didn't he pop out? What happened? Where did he go? Great, fantastic. I thought he was staying on 120th. Nope, it looks like he turned around, going back the other way. He got me on that one. Running through another red light right there. And they're heading back over towards the 105 freeway. But you can see that vehicle definitely slowing down. That's if anything, that's going to be a plus for what's going on. We're not doing 60 to 80 miles an hour right now. We're kind of just doing 40 to 50, which is still extremely dangerous, especially when you're running red lights. Making another turn right there. Looks like we're heading back out onto Imperial Highway. And looks like we're heading westbound on Imperial. LAPD, let's get a look at how many officers are actually right behind him right there. So it just continues.
Five. I'm counting
the
five.
line just
Six.
continues.
6 police SUVs behind him right now, or more.
Yep. And LAPD, they're talking on the radios. They're going to be in that area. They want this thing to come to an end peacefully. But this car continues to just go and elude officers from the LAPD. They could do the pit maneuver. We've seen a couple of opportunities where they could do it. Now look at this. Look at this. Really busy making those turns. This is where the lights and sirens really come in handy. When you come up to an intersection like that, that means everybody's hearing those lights and sirens, so they're looking around, and if they're not moving off to the right, at least they're stopped. And that's going to be a big plus. It's probably going to save somebody's injury and or damage to their vehicle. Right now, though, continuing on, you can see it right there. LAPD right behind them. We're on Imperial Highway. We're making our way back over to the 110 freeway. Hopefully, this person isn't trying to talk that driver into going back over to LAX, because again, we saw. Yes, it was complicated, it was difficult, but it definitely did not solve any of the problems. LAPD, just because they don't have a helicopter above it, doesn't mean those cars can't drive there. They can drive there. They can do whatever they need to do, and they're going to stay right behind it, and they're going to make sure that suspects right now are in custody. That driver now is suspect at aiding and abetting. And, of course, you can see those speeds kind of just slowing down a little bit. But a lot of folks out today, a lot of folks watching Fox, I can tell you that. They're all out there on the side of the road just getting a gander what's going on. And, of course, that's not what LAPD wants. And definitely do never try to get involved in any of this stuff or try to bring that thing to an end. Right now, though, this SUV continues on. We're on Imperial Highway, making our way over to the 110 freeway.
I mean, I suppose that's, for better or worse, this grand show of law enforcement behind him right now is deterring people from getting in his way. And you've been covering these things way longer than I have, obviously, Stu. So have you seen, is this common to see this many squad cars in pursuit of a suspect like this? We're counting 7 right now.
No, not at all. And it just kind of shows you how important this is for LAPD, because they have that number of squad cars there. They may be, the thinking might be along the lines of somebody aided and abetted. Who else is going to aid and abet? What are they going to have to deal with when this comes to an end? So that's probably one of the reasons why they're allowing that. A lot of times it will only allow 2 or maybe 3 vehicles to actually be in pursuit, depending upon the number of persons inside that vehicle. But in this case, this is almost a parade of vehicles right there. Making a turn right now onto Broadway. Looks like we're going to be heading northbound on Broadway. We're back in that LAX area, so it's going to be difficult to stay with it. But at least Broadway is a straightaway, so we can keep an eye on it, maybe get behind it and just look straight up the street. But right now the pursuit continues. You can see the shadow for the LAPD helicopter that is above. I understand that there's another one that's nearby. Maybe there's 2 of them over it. Dylan is confirming that right now. So they're doing that also just to make sure that when this comes to an end, that they have eyes on both those suspects when they get out and run. They want to make sure both of them are going to be in custody when this comes to an end. Right now, though, 40, 50 miles an hour northbound on Broadway. We're making our way out of the Watts area. We're well established in the South LA area right now, and just continuing northbound. Hopefully he gets all greens, and there are none of these issues where we get up into traffic again, and this driver starts making those dangerous decisions.
Yeah, you know, it is Friday, and I guess maybe that's a good thing when it comes to this kind of pursuit, because I don't see many. It could be a lot more congested on the road than it is right now.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, and it is Friday, and it is also Good Friday for that matter as well. A lot of folks staying home today in that observance, and then, of course, Easter is this weekend. Right now, though, it looks like we're setting up for what looks like a left turn. That doesn't mean that's what he's going to do. There we go. He's just getting around that traffic that stopped at the light, and there we go, making that turn. Again, this is where those lights and sirens come in handy. A lot of the folks down there, they hear those lights and sirens, and they do what they need to do. They stop. And or try to pull over to the side of the road. So this is continuing northbound right there. You can see it. We're still, I think, portions of this is all LAPD's area right now. So right now, continuing northbound. Whoop. Yep, continuing northbound. I just heard the airship call it. So there you go. And I'm going to work with Dylan. Maybe we can get a little bit to the right, just to get those trees out of the way. Okay. Okay. So this is where we're allowed to be right now. So we're going to keep an eye on it from where we can. But this pursuit continuing out here. This driver catching a lot of these red lights. You see it right there, another solid red. LAPD, the lights and sirens, probably alerting a lot of these folks to what's going on. Northbound on Broadway. 2 people in that vehicle. One of them from that avalanche. We understand possible attempted murder suspect. And then the driver of this vehicle now aiding and abetting that person from that avalanche, because clearly this vehicle was waiting for him when they stopped, and they jumped out and got into the back seat, and this pursuit continued. Northbound on Broadway, making a turn right now on 89th Street. Don't know if they know this area, don't know what the plan is, but right now this just continues as a pursuit. LAPD behind it, very little they can do to stop it. But they are probably starting to work some plans, maybe changing up their ideas. They might try spike strips. They might try something else.
Yeah, especially when you have that many officers in pursuit of this suspect. And he's going through residential neighborhoods right now once again. You know, and he's also going slow enough to where it doesn't seem like he's really endangering the public too much with the speed, at least. I mean, I know that he went through a couple of intersections and didn't stop, but you know, as far as the speed goes, it doesn't really seem like he's putting the public in that much danger. So I'm wondering how long this pursuit can continue under those circumstances without police, you know, doing something to intervene here, whether it's strike strips or a pit maneuver.
You know, I think they might be trying to do the spike strips right now. We'll see how this plays out. Coming up onto another major, we don't see a lot of traffic out there. We have a bad angle right now. But we're coming up on San Pedro. Looks like he's going to be going northbound on San Pedro. You got LAPD right behind it. That would have been another good spot to do that pit maneuver, making that slow turn as they're making that transition, and no other civilians in the area. But again, they haven't been certified. That's certified. They're all certified. Well, the driver that would do the pit would be certified. Hey, take a look at this. A lot of traffic right there.
Yeah,
a lot
what's
of
this person
traffic
going to do
approaching
now?
Manchester, and slowing down. At least we see that. And then making his way through that intersection right there. But you know, that's the thing. They might try to change this up a little bit. They might try to bring this to an end with a pit maneuver. But they also might use spike strips. You did mention it in the past, and believe me, they are trying to be proactive. Let's just leave it at that. If the opportunity arrives, they will try to use those spike strips for sure.
In the meantime, you know, while we're trying to get a clear shot of this suspect, let's talk about the moment that he hopped into this SUV that we're looking at right now. And then he almost, we're told, almost hit a pedestrian. Was this pulling into the Bank of America parking lot?
Yeah.
So this,
yeah, those were scary. Those were scary moments indeed. Whenever I see a suspect drive into a parking lot, like be it a grocery store, or in this case it was Bank of America, you've got pedestrians walking around. You know those folks are not thinking about fast cars driving through those parking lots. just my blood runs cold. It really does. You just don't want to see anybody get hurt. LAPD, definitely the public safety is number one. And also, got to be clear about this, even that suspects' safety is on their minds. Continuing on, you can see that they keep moving. They're talking about something that they might have recovered from the other vehicle. Maybe somebody from our desk can clarify what they just said right there, because if there's a possibility that they did recover a weapon in that other vehicle, and there's a possibility that this person not armed, they might be able to do something like a pit maneuver.
Sure,
but
you don't. I mean, you don't know as far as this SUV goes. You don't know what kind of weapon, or if there could be a weapon in this car. It doesn't matter what happened in the avalanche. All they're pursuing right now is this SUV.
True. Very true. And these are the things that officers are trained to think about. These are the things that officers, this is what keeps officers alive. Just think about it like that. And, so they are not going to do anything that's going to put themselves directly in harm's way, but they want to bring this to an end safely. They want to make sure that everybody is okay at the end. But right now, slow moving. We're passing a school right there, but you did mention it is definitely spring break right now. But that doesn't mean they might not have summer programs. But you can see it like we're farther and farther away. We're creeping up. We're staying with it the best we can. But where this person's going, that's the big question.
I don't even know if they know where they're going at this point. It kind of seems like this pursuit has been relatively aimless. It hasn't gone on the highway. It's been going through these, mixed residential neighborhoods for a while now. And that was the same thing with the avalanche before it came to a stop and changed out cars. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a direction here.
There's definitely not much of a direction, that is for sure. But that with that avalanche, and when the driver was in there, they definitely made contact or were talking to this person. That wasn't just random. So they made some sort of deal. They tried, this driver of that SUV tried to get as close as possible, and then you saw it. I'm not sure what Audi it was, to be precise. I'm sure some of my car buddies are going to really ride me on some of that stuff. But it definitely was a nicer high-end Audi, and that SUV, that Avalanche, plowed right into it. I was worried that we had lost it. There we go. So we're approaching another major right there, the roadway running out, so he has to make a turn. It looks like he's made a turn. He's going to be heading westbound, so he's going to be coming a little bit closer to us. We're basically over the 110 freeway right now, and but much slower driving. Much slower driving, that's what we can say right now, but still running every red light that he comes across. We've been in the wrong side, been driving against traffic a couple of times still, so the dangerous driving has not stopped, but at least the speeds have slowed down a little bit. And again, the driver of that vehicle now wanted for aiding and abetting. The passenger inside that vehicle, I believe that's going to be what LAPD was in pursuit for in the beginning. That was the attempted homicide suspect driving that Avalanche, and right now this is the closest we've been, so we're going to see if we can get a better look at the driver. Whoops, there it is. And all I can say is that it does appear to be female. Does appear to be female behind the wheel. So we'll keep an eye on it the best we can, but this pursuit continues on. And this is as close as we've been to this car since this pursuit started. But definitely, why? Why are you doing this? And
Stu, is that back
I was
tire
wondering
flat?
about that. Yes, and I would not be surprised if that was a spike strip, because you had mentioned it earlier on.
Or maybe this person hit one of the famous potholes that's cropping up all over LA. maybe for once a pothole worked in law enforcement's advantage.
I was going to say the pothole did some good, huh? But I think it might have been actually a spike strip. I'm not sure how they would have got the rear and not the front, but I think it might have been a spike strip. But you can see it right there. So now that SUV, a little bit disabled, that tire's staying on there for right now. If this continues on, we've seen it so many times in the past. The tire shreds, comes off, he starts rolling on the rims. But you can see that just continuing on. We're on Slauson Boulevard. just making their way. Another right turn. That's always the most convenient for that suspect. LAPD, they keep an eye on that stuff too, driving behavior. But right now we're on northbound on Hoover. You can see a lot of the folks in the neighborhood. You can just imagine what all those lights and sirens sound like down there.
Oh,
seven
sure.
Seven officers behind that one car. That's going to be making quite a lot of noise.
There's no mistaking for pedestrians what's going on and where it's happening, and that's the good thing of when you have this many officers in pursuit is you have this grand show that something's happening, and stay out of the way.
Wow. So we're keeping an eye on it, slowing down again. Oh, whoop.
Coming to a stop or not?
Almost.
We keep getting fooled, Stu.
Yeah.
They keep changing their minds.
LAPD very, very anxious right now. They're keeping an eye. They're keeping an eye on all the other vehicles that may be in the area. Something might have been following them. Maybe it's some sort of independent media. Maybe not. So they're definitely keeping an eye on everything that's going on around them right now. But you saw that slowing down, almost coming to a stop right there. We got to mark that location, got to figure out that was on 56th Street. So if they make their way back to that area, that might be a spot where maybe that suspect lives, or maybe where the driver of this SUV lives. So that's something to think about. They did come to a complete stop because the LAPD opened their doors just for a second. Right now, though, we're back on Figueroa, northbound. You got one flat tire. That's going to be driver's side rear. It's still holding on, so you're not riding on the rim yet. But pretty soon, that tire is going to come apart, and then things are going to start changing up again. But at these slower speeds, you just don't know. But the rear wheels are the drive wheels. So if that tire comes apart, and it might actually make that vehicle almost undrivable. So it might give the LAPD the opportunity to bring this to a stop.
Which, hey, is exactly what happened in the original car that we saw, the Avalanche. The tire came off, and riding on the rim, sparks. You could see sparks from the car, and that's essentially why the person bailed and probably got into this SUV, who clearly is an acquaintance or a friend or now an accomplice to this police pursuit. And we'll see what happens here. But, Stu, I mean, how long can this car go until the rim starts to bend and the wheels fall off? I mean, how long can this thing last? And look at how close police are right now.
That's the big question, and you can see the number of officers just following it, 2, 4, 6, 7. So they have 7 officers right there making a turn. I got to take a moment and just, because I've said Dylan's name so many times today, and it might have been a little bit in frustration. I don't want anybody to think anything but the fact that Dylan is one of our best pilots out here flying Skyfox. He is the most diligent, and he stays up on things the best he can. He is trying to get us the best shots always. Just know that I appreciate his flying skills and his diligence in the airspace and working with the tower to get us where we need to be to get these shots, even though right now can't see it again. But that is definitely not his fault. Right now, though, we can see that he's making his way back out onto another major. Let's find out if he made a turn. And I think he did. Yes, he did. He's coming right back at us right there.
Toward you guys.
And we're going to get it. Yeah, it works out for us pretty well. Going to keep an eye on that rear tire. I'm just kind of curious if it's, definitely coming apart right now.
It's popping off.
Yep. Yeah, there it goes.
Look at that.
So that's gonna create some issues for that driver, and of course that SUV's performance. And but like you said, hopefully this is going to be what kind of brings it to an end safely. You're going to lose that tire, you're going to lose that ability to speed up, and maybe it'll bring it to an end. We've seen them in the past talk about how they can do, that they would be able to do a pit maneuver, especially with a tire missing right there. The tire just beating that truck up. Look at the parts of the bumper coming apart right now. There you go. That was the big part. So now he's basically driving right on that rim. I did hear that they did recover a weapon. So, but
they did recover a weapon
too. Yes.
In the Avalanche. The original car.
They said it was. I'm not 100% on that. I heard the words tossed from the vehicle. So maybe it was going on this one. Maybe the Oh, the gun. Okay, it was found in the back of the Avalanche. So it was found in the back seat of the Avalanche.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's like you said too. You know, who says that this driver didn't come just with a ride? Maybe he came with a ride and a gun. So
right. You never know.
You just don't want to be that officer right there making those decisions. You know, so and of course the officer that is right there, these are the things they're trained for. These are what they drill into these guys to stay alive on the job. And believe me, LAPD, they're some of our best, and they are bright, and they're trained, and they are today really, really earning their pay. I can guarantee you that, especially that officer that's right behind that vehicle.
Oh, definitely.
When they were doing those, when they were doing those high-speed driving, and they were weaving in and out of traffic. You just gotta, we get worried. Just imagine what that driver is doing, that officer, and also keeping track of what's going on and keeping up on the radios. These guys and gals are amazing. Right now, though, coming up on Vermont. Oh no, we're on Vermont. Are we on Vermont? Yes, we are on
Stu,
Vermont.
one thing I can confirm for you, and this is through police, is that the two women who bailed the original Avalanche that the pursuit began in have been taken into custody. And it is confirmed that this was not a carjacking, as we all were kind of guessing, because it did seem like this car was waiting around for this suspect to jump in. Clearly they do know each other. Do we know if the murder suspect, the attempted murder suspect, is male or female?
I don't know. And they just said murder suspect. Somebody was saying to me a moment ago about, possibly this was an Uber. And I was like, I don't think so. But at any rate, now we've got that confirmed that this is not a carjacking, and this person was there on purpose to give that suspect a ride. So right now, though, that ride continues as it would be. LAPD in pursuit. Number of officers right behind it, 2 helicopters above it from the LAPD, along with Skyfox. And, of course, we're continuing on. The speeds have slowed down, that rear tire missing. It's not a front wheel, so that's kind of a plus. Luckily, you got a green light at that one, but it's definitely going to slow it down when it speeds up. And that might be a big plus. If this thing can't get out of its own way, or if it starts slowing down, LAPD might have that opportunity to do that pit maneuver, or they're leaving it up to those officers or whoever is the watch commander in charge that are making those calls to allow it or not to allow it. Right now, though, it's a waiting game. LAPD is doing what they can to keep the public safe. The driver of that vehicle doing what she can to elude officers, and the pursuit continues. We don't know how long that car is going to keep up with those three full tires and that one flat on the back, and we don't know how much fuel it has, or we don't know how much. Look at that!
Oh my goodness!
Come on.
Actively going through a crosswalk while people were walking through it. I mean, this person has put a number of pedestrians, drivers in harm's way, let's face it, driving on the wrong side of the road, pulling into a parking lot, narrowly missing pedestrians, hitting another car. So this has been far from a tame pursuit.
Oh, definitely not tame. They're definitely not tame at all. And the driver of this vehicle, very aggressive, especially earlier on. We saw those extremely high speeds. We saw those moves where it was extremely dangerous. There was many close calls with this vehicle. That Avalanche, it was driving well. It had the drive of one of the steering wheels off of it. One of the front wheels were off, so it made it a little bit more difficult to maneuver. But this driver, when that suspect got in, you saw it. That thing tore out of there.
Oh yeah.
And those
that
speeds
car was waiting.
really picked up. Yes. And they just keep and it just keeps going. That driver, I kind of wonder, maybe that person thinking, maybe this was not the best thing to do on Good Friday.
Yeah, I mean, because you mentioned that once that adrenaline wears off, and this person is just left driving, sometimes reality kicks in, and you hope it does for this person. You hope that reality sets in. What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, and it looked like, I can't say 100%. I was just wondering. It looked like like she was on her phone texting just a moment or two ago, sending out a text or two. And you just hope that they're not planning on doing that same rope-a-dope where you're trying to get somebody else there. Because if that's the case, then, believe me, LAPD, that might have happened the one time. It's not going to happen again. I can almost guarantee you that. They're going to be on the lookout for something like that. But that vehicle continues to move along right there. You can see it. We got a flat tire.
Do we have two
LAPD,
flat tires or just one?
It looks like just one.
Close.
It looks like the driver's side rear. That looks like that's the only one that's definitely the only one that's flat right now.
It's going real slow.
And she was texting, so I'm just hoping they're not trying to set up another one of those, hey, meet us at, or I'm going to get to this corner, because I just don't think they're going to be able to pull it off. That's the only thing I can say right now, and you're just dragging somebody else into a world of trouble.
Yeah, let's hope they don't try to upgrade cars again like they did this last time. I mean, there's enough officers in pursuit to where hopefully they wouldn't try to attempt that again, or that wouldn't happen successfully again. But I'm thinking that maybe officers are just waiting for this car to fall apart.
Well, that it actually is part of it. We always say that with law enforcement, time is on their side. The longer this pursuit goes, the more chance that it might end badly. But in this case, they're talking about a Crown Victoria. You know what? I don't want to take the chance to look, but they're actually talking about one of the units that's in the pursuit to slow down and pull over. There's a Crown Victoria that's following the pursuit.
A Crown Victoria that's following the pursuit that they're worried about could be involved somehow.
Yes, they're worried that this is somebody that's trying to get up, and they might possibly do that same type of situation again. So they actually had one of the units from behind that pursuit to actually stop that. They said it was a Crown Victoria. That's all I heard right there just now. So the helicopter, the airship, the LAPD airship, keeping an eye on vehicles that are in the area, that are staying nearby. So they're really up on it right now, especially with what happened at the end of that avalanche chase, where this suspect jumped in the backseat of this car. They're continuing on. I guess they are continuing. I'm just kind of looking out the window. So they're continuing westbound. So it's going to make it more and more difficult for us to keep an eye on it. Hopefully they make a U-turn, come back to where we are. But right now, this pursuit continues, and LAPD. Look at the number of cars that are following it, and of course,
we're talking about at least 7 police LAPD cruisers that are following this suspect right now. Do you think is the added presence? You said this is unusual. You don't see things like this happen very often. What could be possibly the reason in your estimate? I know we don't know for sure, but I mean, is it because the person was armed before, wanted for attempted murder?
The person was armed. I'm sure that's part of it. The other part of it is the fact that he had this person meet them. So they're probably thinking, where is this going to end? Maybe this person drives to a place where there's a number of people that are, friendly to that suspect. And so they just need more officers to be there at that termination. I believe that's probably part of it. But I am hearing them talk about that suspect, the driver of this vehicle, on the phone, and they are concerned about this another meet, as it would be. Like they're going to meet somebody somewhere, and then they're going to try to switch vehicles or do whatever they're going to do. LAPD is going to do everything in their power to not allow that to happen. I can guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. But right now, making our way in the South LA area, very residential area, and there we go. Sorry, was looking at a street too far north, but and just keeping an eye out right there, see if they go through here or they make a turn. There they are. Was that them? Yeah, that was them. So that vehicle that we were looking at was actually a vehicle paralleling this, and that's what we were talking about earlier on. They're going to have LAPD officers nearby paralleling the pursuit, just in that general area wherever it is. So when it does come to an end, they have extra officers there.
Yeah, and once again, this person's in a residential neighborhood. So if you're in this area, if you're watching this all unfold right now from the comfort of your homes, please stay inside. Do not go out and because we've seen a couple of people, right? We've seen a couple of people standing near their homes and we just don't know. We just don't know if this person who's driving is armed with anything but a cell phone. We just don't know at this point. So it's better to be safe than sorry and just stay inside. And if you are, as we try to get this, shot back up and running again, but if you are just joining us, this police pursuit began in the LAX Inglewood neighborhood.
Can we wander south?
Yeah, with an avalanche. We were told there were 3 occupants inside this avalanche, and then led police on a lengthy chase. The suspect bailed from the car and into a waiting SUV, leaving behind a weapon in the back seat of that avalanche. 2 other women, were told, tried to escape from that avalanche and were arrested. So they're in custody right now. And then that SUV, that waiting SUV, we're told this was not a carjacking. This was actually somebody who was waiting for that suspect, started gunning it down. Mostly secondary roads, right, Stu? This has not taken us to the highway just yet. Or am I wrong?
We have not seen anything. We have not seen anything as far as the freeways ever with these vehicles, with the second one or the first one. They've been staying on. The streets. I just heard them talking about Century and Van Ness. You probably can see right there as well. We got the streets up right there. So we're trying to locate exactly where he's at. But approaching. Hang on. So there. Okay. So they're.
Yeah. So you're trying to get
Century approaching Western. There they are right there. So. They're making that turn, so they're going southbound on Western right now. So they're still heading over towards the 105 once again. But like you said, we've not seen them on any of the freeways at all this afternoon. So that vehicle continues to go, even with the 3 tires and the one flat on the driver's side rear. LAPD still behind it. And you can see right there, as I'm lacking on my skills. Sorry about that.
No,
I'm trying to stay a little bit ahead of it. Yeah. But we get a glimpse of it every now and then through the buildings. I know this is not the shots that we usually see with these pursuits, but it's been staying in the South LA area, and with these new rules that. That's another story for another time. But we're held at bay, and we basically have to sit out here and try to get the shots that we can. But they're making their way southbound right now. 108th is what I heard just a second ago. So we try to keep ahead of them, and see if we can watch them pop out somewhere down towards the south.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, Stu, if there's a thought behind. You mentioned that the possible use of spike strips, but wouldn't more than one tire be flat if that were the case? I don't know if you can hear me. Let's get back though to that original video while he tries to get a shot of this suspect. This is kind of where this chase picked up. If we could get to that video of this shot right here. This is near Inglewood. This was West Century Boulevard that this happened, where the suspect bails out of the avalanche, which was broken down already, and then hops into that waiting SUV. I think police right now are worried the same thing's going to happen again, because we've seen this pattern, right? I mean, this avalanche kept going essentially around in circles through these neighborhoods until it came to a stop, and then this happened. So you're kind of hoping that history doesn't repeat itself right now. But then you see that car, that SUV, driving into the Bank of America parking lot, narrowly missing several pedestrians, cutting through that parking lot and continuing on. We are dealing with an attempted murder suspect, and we're told that this person had left a weapon in the back seat of the avalanche before they bailed out and took the SUV that was waiting. And we're back with Stu. So this person is on the highway? Where are we right now?
No, not on the highway. We just crossed over the 105 freeway. We're going to be back in the Inglewood area. He's been staying on Western. We still have to stay a little bit farther away. And, you know, if it gets farther south, that's going to be good for us because then at least we might be able to get a little bit closer. Right now, they're still southbound on Western as the last 122, so we're looking in the right spot, but it's just so far away and out at a distance, and you got so much trees out there, but somewhere right there in that area. There you go. We got a glimpse of a LAPD cruiser. Yeah, we're in the Hawthorne area. And making our way southbound. And just trying to keep ahead of it and use that end-of-the-lens technology. There we go. So, you know, this is one of those things where if you were looking out the window of Skyfox, you could not even make out where this is, even if I tried to point it out to you.
Yeah.
But you can see right there a lot of traffic. And let me see if they're going through or they made a turn. Looks like they're going southbound, keep it on going, keep it on. So they're continuing southbound on Western, so we're making our way probably into Gardena by now as we're staying on Western, continuing southbound. Where they're taking us, well, we're going to find out when we get there. That's the best I can say. I used to say that to my kids all the time. But right now, that driver's keeping the officers at bay. They did have some suspicious vehicle following them for a little bit. They are concerned that this driver might be trying to contact somebody else, and they might be able to do another one of these swap of cars. The LAPD is going to do what they can to make sure that that does not happen. Right now, though, making our way. Looks like we got another major coming up, but it seems like cars are stopping, so they got a red light. And continuing on, southbound Western, and definitely in the Gardena area right now. LAPD, they've been chasing this car, well, this one since that swap. But this started, gosh, I don't even know how long ago.
I've lost all concept of time right now, Stu.
Yes. Definitely,
I mean, this pursuit's been going on for at least how many? 40 minutes? I think.
40 minutes. That is a long.
An hour and a half. An hour and a half.
LA standards. That is definitely long for LA standards. And you can see that vehicle just continues to drive. That one tire is flat. Was it a spike strip? Well, you know what? I don't know if we're ever really going to find out. Or was it a pothole? Don't really know, but I can tell you that's the only big plus right now for this chase is that they are down to 3 good tires on that car. You can see the sheriff's department helping out and just kind of
posted
blocking
up at
traffic
the corner there.
because. Yeah, and you know this is what they do. You know, law enforcement they want to keep the public safe. I can tell you, sheriff's units probably are going to be in the area as well now that we are out of the LAPD area. So they're going to be leaning on their brethren in brown, as it would be, because they wear those tan uniforms. But you know, we're making our way south on Western. We're in the Gardena area. We have had a little bit of a tour of the Los Angeles area for sure. But this chase continues. Maybe we can get a little bit better look at that driver. Right now, it looks like both hands are on the wheel.
Look, they're at the 9s and 3s, Stu, like we always advise. Safe driving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe driving. You can see she's very concerned about people around her.
Of course, of course she is.
Of course she is. But at least she's not on the phone because we definitely saw her on the phone earlier on.
So yeah, you did see her on the phone. Was she texting? Was she calling someone? Was she texting actively while she was, being pursued by at least 7 squad cars?
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly, sorry about that. I was fighting a little bit of a cold. But yeah, you just don't know. I would venture to say probably texting just because the window's down. If she was on a speaker, what are you going to hear with that window down? So right now, though, this pursuit just continues. This driver's still just driving. It looks like we're just doing a little bit of a weaving around there. Whoa, a little bit of a hard turn. And those are the things that we just don't want to see. And now she's going the wrong way in traffic. A lot of folks, they hear those lights and sirens. They're coming to a stop. That's what they have. That's what the public does, and it's actually a really good thing, especially when it's a chase like this. Right now, speeds have really, really slowed down, and that's a plus as well. But we're going to keep an eye on what's going on, and of course, right now, it's just a slow drive down Western as we're making our way south from the L.A. into Gardena, and let's see if we make our way down to Palos Verdes, because I think that's where Western ends, right, is down in the Palos Verdes area.
Yeah, I mean, this rear tire might be working to their advantage, right? Because at some point this car's got to slow down. And
that was nice.
That was real sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at this point, I don't think that person cares about much of anything right now.
Yeah,
but yeah,
true.
like I was saying, I think that the rear tire being out and disabled might be working to cops' advantage at least, because this person cannot go that fast. Eventually, I would have to imagine you keep driving like this, and you're driving on the rim, sparks are going to come up, and your car is going to be completely disabled. That will happen at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that this wheel is holding on. I mean, it appears that it has some rubber still stuck to the. It seems like the tire part is gone, but the sidewalls are still there. But it is just amazing that it is just holding on as well as it is. Right now, though, this car, they're going. Let me pull up the speedometer real quick. We had it down because we were at the end of our lens and stuff like that. Yeah, that's about right. We're going about 45 miles an hour, 43 miles an hour. That seems to be about right. And these are the speeds that LAPD has been talking about as well. So that's a big plus. Those high speeds have slowed down. LAPD, they're not slowing down. They've got a number of officers still behind it. And I think maybe one of the reasons, too, why they keep getting an extra officer at the end is because of that fact that they are worried that this person might be trying to get a hold of somebody. Somebody might be following them that try to get up closer. And we heard it. I don't know what came of it, but they did stop a vehicle that was trailing the pursuit earlier on.
Well, they would have to they would have to get around the parade of seven police SUVs to get to that suspect.
Intent, or was it somebody, maybe an independent news person? But right now, it just continues to move along down there. And I'm going to stay a little bit wider on the shots for right now. And the pursuit continues, but at least the speeds are down to what we can at least call normal speeds, 35 miles an hour as we're coming up on another red light. And at least she slowed down just a little bit.
Yeah, you're wondering what this woman's relationship is to the suspect. Obviously an acquaintance. Obviously, she was waiting on standby to pick this person up. And you're hearing there was a Crown Vic that was possibly following this police pursuit in relation to the suspect, maybe trying to pull what we saw with this SUV, another awaiting vehicle. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Are we going against traffic right now? Yeah, we are. Okay. So now this SUV is all over the road. Stu, can you hear me? I don't know if you can, but yeah, we're going down. We're near Western Avenue right now. Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. So we have you back?
No, I don't.
All right, so we are following this police pursuit that began near LAX Inglewood area. This has been a fairly wild pursuit so far, I have to say, as we wait for Stu to come back to us. I mean, he has a fairly clear shot of what this SUV is doing right now. We don't have much information in terms of who the suspect is. We do know they're wanted for attempted murder. This pursuit's been happening now for almost 2 hours as we watch them speed down streets. But this began near LAX Inglewood area. It started off in a separate car. Originally, the suspect was one of 3 occupants in an avalanche. That avalanche was being pursued by a number of officers to the point where the front tire actually gave out, and the suspect bailed from the car because it came to a stop into this waiting SUV, leaving behind a weapon in the back seat of that avalanche, and then just started gunning it down all these secondary roads. I have not seen this SUV take the highway yet. These are all been secondary roads. And Stu, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but as far as the neighborhood goes, are we circling again, or have we really left this area?
You know what? I can hear you, but now I have now I actually have mixed minus issues. I can hear myself on the radio as well. We are staying on Van Ness. We just made another turn. You saw that craziness right there. She got off of Western and then made her way onto 190th for a little bit, driving on the wrong side of the road, weaving around a little bit. Now we're making our way back over towards Western. Don't know if that's the plan or not, but you can see that vehicle continues to drive. LAPD, they still right there behind her. That driver has that suspect from that earlier pursuit in the back seat, so now they're in pursuit of her as well. This SUV just keeps on going. And you know what? As long as she keeps those speeds down to what we've been seeing, it's going to be okay. I would venture to say, hopefully there's not somebody not paying attention, and that, you know, when she's running a red light, that will crash into her vehicle as it would be. Right now, though, LAPD right there behind it. Looks like we're making our way back over towards Western. There it is. And we're continuing southbound on Western. So there must be a reason why they're staying on Western Boulevard. So because they were on Western, they got off, and now they're continuing southbound back onto Western Avenue. You know, this is one of those ones where, you know, I would venture to say that driver is going to drive that SUV till it does not drive anymore, meaning it might get stuck somewhere, or you know, run out of gas, or maybe lose another tire. Whatever it is, that suspect the driver is not going to give up. They're going to wait for that vehicle to give up before they do anything. LAPD, they are still, you know, well out of their area, but now we're in the Harbor Gateway area. So I think if we keep on going south, they do have a little bit of LAPD down this way as well. Especially down in the San Pedro area, but I don't know if we're going to go that far. But right now, we're definitely in the in the Harbor Gateway, so it's going to be sheriffs in this area as well. But LAPD definitely in pursuit. I know the other law enforcement, they're going to be nearby. This driver just being batty this afternoon.
Yeah,
just
I'm
being
not gonna lie,
behind
Stu,
the wheel, just doing what she needs to do to keep those officers that far behind her. But in the end, hopefully nobody gets hurt. But you know that this is going to come to an end with those suspects going into custody.
Yeah, and you hope that it comes to a peaceful end as well, because this pursuit's been happening for some 2 hours now. And so can you, and I was asking you this earlier, I don't know if you could hear me, but this pursuit has sort of stayed within the same area, right? It doesn't necessarily seem like this person has a direction.
You know, I heard the more pedestrians. I heard the question about staying in the same area. You know, we've watched pursuits sometimes take us on tours of South LA. We get on freeways, we go way out east, we come back, and etc. This one was hanging out in the LAX area, Inglewood area for the longest, and then made its way into South Los Angeles, and now making our way well south of all of that, making our way basically towards the Ranchos Palos Verdes area, or Torrance, depending upon how far south we're going to go. LAPD, well, it looks like we're making a turn. Maybe there is a destination, because this seems to be a pretty random turn right here. We're on 122nd Street. Looks like a very residential neighborhood. So LAPD, they're going to stay behind it. You know, they have information about what's going on. A little bit of traffic here. When we get on these residential roads, I always get worried. But there we go. So we're not staying on 122nd. Now we're on Harvard. But, you know, where this person goes in the end, really, you know, we might figure it out, we might not, but LAPD, they just want to bring this to an end. They just want to take those two people into custody right now. That passenger wanted for the first pursuit and possibly an attempted homicide, and then the driver of this one who's basically aiding and abetting. That's probably the big charge that's going to be on there, and evading being the pursuit. But right now, that vehicle is still holding on with the 3 full tires. The one shredded one on the back, LAPD in force down there. You can see a number of them. One of the LAPD helicopters overhead, they're making the calls as well, giving these officers on the ground the heads up, at least about what traffic is doing when they get through these intersections. But right now, I'm pretty much like everybody else. You just want to see this come to an end safely, and those 2 suspects go into custody.
Yeah, Stu, think of it this way. We have been on this pursuit for so long that not just 1, but 2 cars have broken down. Or are actively breaking down, I should say. Yeah, you really do hope that this comes to a peaceful end because, what's the game plan after this car does, finally come to a stop? And you're hoping that nothing happens as a result of this because this person has been weaving in and out of parking lots. We've seen them go the wrong way down roads, putting a lot of people in harm's way, even though not going fast, but still putting a lot of people in harm's way. Making another turn.
Well,
yeah, I'm just scratching my head on this one because it really doesn't seem like this person, they're almost looking for open roads.
I'm having a lot of issues just trying to hear you right now. But what I can say is that, the LAPD, when this thing comes to an end, they are going to treat this as armed suspects inside that vehicle. Even though, we heard them earlier on saying that they did have one gun in custody. They retrieved that out of that Avalanche. That was the first vehicle that they were in that pursuit with. And but it's like you said, you just don't know. Maybe this person had two guns. Maybe this person, the driver of this vehicle brought a weapon. You just don't know. But the fact that the suspect is wanted for well, here we go. Things might be changing up a little bit. That vehicle slowing down, slowing down. She's probably thinking to myself, should have got gas before I picked this guy up. Maybe. Let's see what's going on. Up. The door's opening up.
Okay.
Door's opening up. Don't. Oh, that was
out of a moving vehicle.
Okay.
There's somebody else there trying to make a run for it. Two people are trying to make a run for it.
There we go. And making his way through the houses this way. We're going to keep an eye on him. Somebody running out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah,
look at that. Did you see that? That was a pedestrian, some civilian.
Yeah.
Was just like, oh my God. I don't blame him. Just keeping running there. Well, I'm getting tired just watching this guy run. This is exhausting, and he's just keeping it up. Now, LAPD, I can tell you that they are calling it out right now. I'm just saying a little bit wider. You can see a number of those officers running right there. You'd think one of them would have brought the car. But at any rate, making a turn. Hopefully he doesn't try to get into somebody's house. Oh, please don't get into somebody's house.
Please tell me you know this person.
Let's get a little closer. He's moving around. Up. He got folks getting out of the way. Maybe this is somebody's house that they know.
I don't know.
Maybe not. We're going to see if that garage door's open. Officers definitely have their guns out, but you can see that the residents of this house knew what was going on. Pretty much, they didn't seem any kind of excited about what was happening right there. Just kind of leisurely walking away. I'm going to kind of grab a picture of them real quick. Yeah, they're probably just like, oh man.
Yeah.
So. Definitely, guns are out, and I'm going to stay a little bit wider. I really have a feeling this is going to end well.
He's got his arms up,
but
so
I just don't want to see anything happen. Unfortunate right now. We just don't know. But this suspect definitely has their hands out.
Yeah,
but like I said, they're going to treat this like it is an armed suspect.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about that.
But this is the most volatile part of the pursuit,
this guy's got to be winded. LAPD, they must be winded as well. But they've got to keep their composure. There they go. There they go.
Wow.
Making that move, taking this guy into custody.
All right. But I still saw one person actually try to run away. I don't know if that person's in custody. We're going to have to check on that. But there were two people inside that car. One of them bailed. Is that a woman?
That's right. And the female, the driver of that vehicle, she got out, kind of walked for a little bit, and I can almost guarantee you they took that guy, that woman into custody almost right away.
Yeah.
We can double check, but right now this person going into custody right here on Kaywood. This is going to be on Kaywood, the 22,900 block of Kaywood. That's where this suspect in custody now after a long run, couple of vehicles. And then that unfortunate crash into that really expensive Audi. That was a beautiful car. Hopefully that driver's going to be okay. I'm sure he's not injured, but that car definitely took a nice hit from that avalanche earlier on. But this suspect now in custody after a long, long pursuit.
Well, yeah, that pursuit was almost 2 hours. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly grateful that this whole thing came to a peaceful end. It appeared that he surrendered peacefully, so that is some good news as a result of all of this. And for what it's worth, nobody hurt in this chase. It didn't look like it, at least. There was I would believe that was a woman driver that got out earlier on and was taken into custody. And this is the suspect from the back seat.
But yeah, definitely was a very, very long pursuit. Skyfox is a thirsty bird for sure. We're really getting close to our 2-hour limit. Hopefully we can have enough fuel to get back to Van Nuys. But this is the type of pursuit that we love to cover out here, for sure. Nobody injured and very little damage to any property. But definitely nobody hurt today, and that is the big plus.
All right, so if you are just joining us, this nearly 2-hour long pursuit of an attempted murder